But she doesn't know that. Water. Need water. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Good, The Bad, and The Story, where obviously we talk about the good, the bad, and the story. This time we're talking about the RWBY episode, which I know I'm a week late, but as I said, I have to keep up with school and other work first. Today, rocking the hat because I'm getting my hair cut today and can't put all the usual gel I have, and you don't want to see that. That's just ugly. Anyways, so, you know what we're here to talk about? So, let's get started with the good. I'm trying to keep these episodes a little bit shorter. So, the good part of this episode was actually the fight. The fight in this one between Coco and Yatsuhashi and Mercury and Emerald was actually really great. It was very cleverly conceived. It was very creatively done, using the minigun to cut down the grass, to the pacing of the hits. The speed of everything was a lot better. It was actually probably the best it's been this season. It was very consistent. There were small parts that were a little bit hard to follow, like Yatsuhashi kind of being back when he was already taken down, but then he was taken down a second later. Some things didn't quite add up all the way, but that can really be said for any of the RWBY fights. It kind of, you don't have to turn your brain off, but sometimes you just have to suspend a little bit of disbelief in order to make it all work. So really, it was the best fight this season by far. It was very cleverly conceived and very well paced, and the action goes, you could see what was happening and didn't have any kind of jerky camera effects that were making it very hard to tell what the hell was going on. So big plus there. Overall, the character development and the exposition between Weiss and her sister Winter, I really enjoyed. And also, to a lesser extent, the interaction between Ruby, Yang, and their Uncle Crow, which is actually kind of harkening back to the opening. Hopefully these characters will play a larger role as it goes forward. Crow definitely, not so sure about Winter because she leaves at the very end, but hopefully she'll be back for an emergency situation. Overall, the message definitely got fleshed out much more with Crow's conversation, and we'll cover that in the story aspect. But the message of the series is actually getting pretty interesting. So, that's the good. The bad. The bad isn't really even something that's, like, something consistently wrong with this episode. It just seems to be something that's creeping into RWBY as a whole. Obviously, some of the awkward voice acting and writing with the characters who haven't had as much practice with it, that tends to be a thing where either if a character doesn't have so many years of practice with the season, like Barbara, Aaron, Lindsay, and Kara have had with Team RWBY, or if they're not professionals, like Ozpin. The voice actor for Ozpin is a professional voice actor. The one they got for Crow and for Winter are professional voice actor and actresses. So they're able to, they know how the game works. They're better able to get into the characters as a whole without as much experience overall. But whoever voices Yatsuhashi, I don't know his name, and Ashley Jenkins voices Coco, they're not bad. It's harkening way back to Volume 1 where clearly not all the characters had gotten into, well, not all the voice actors had gotten into character yet. And it's very clear that they need a little bit more, they need more lines and they need more experience before they're able to really capture those characters and not make it a little bit kind of cringe-worthy. It wasn't bad. It's back to Volume 1, which is, a couple steps back. But that's just something they need to kind of just keep an eye on in general. The other bad part, and again, I don't even know if it's bad, it just kind of belongs in this category instead of the good. The show really is starting to show signs of power creep in the sense that they're not keeping it very consistent on how powerful every one of the characters are. Because, as we've already seen, and this kind of happened after Monty left Red vs. Blue as well, when they transitioned from the Freelancer series over to the Chorus trilogy, where there was a little bit inconsistencies with the fights on how powerful everybody was in comparison to how powerful they had been shown before. For instance, Coco using her minigun to cut down the grass was awesome, but we've also seen her use those miniguns to literally shoot down giant Nevermores out of the sky in like single hits, but for some reason trees can now block the bullets. It's just a little bit illogical stuff like that isn't quite consistent. And maybe it's just a virtue, and maybe not a virtue, and maybe it's just a problem with earlier on, they had immediately jumped to, oh, Coco's this awesome, powerful person who could shoot down giant Nevermores. Even when I saw that scene, as much as it was awesome, I was thinking, like, that could get pretty inconsistent later on. And I was kind of right. So we'll see how they handle that going forward, but it's just kind of an issue. When you put the bar, when you set the level so high with these characters already, you have to keep pushing higher, otherwise you're going to seem underpowered as the series moves forward. So, yeah, not so bad, just something to keep an eye out going forward here. The story aspect is where this gets kind of interesting, because there were a lot of neat little tidbits, if you were paying attention, that were really cool. One was obviously the insight into the Schnee family and how Weiss's relationship with Winter and, most importantly, her father are really working out. Weiss has chosen to not accept her father's call or money, and as it's been rumored among the fan base, I'm not quite sure if it's confirmed yet. You might know them more than me. Put it in the comments down below if I'm right, or if you know this answer to my question. But the original White trailer from before Volume 1 was ever released, and Weiss is fighting the Giant Knight, that's allegedly because her father put her up to the task. So to say she doesn't have that great of a relationship with her dad is probably underselling it. But that, be it as that may, she shows signs that she wants to kind of resist her father and move forward. And actually, I really like the reprise of Mirror and slowed down version of Mirror Mirror that was played at the very end of this episode. That harkens back to the song that was originally in the White trailer. And if you listen closely, well, obviously talking about Mirror Mirror, but there was a lot of talk earlier on about what the meaning of the opening song of this series mean. And a lot of people attributed things like, well, Red Like Roses obviously to RWBY, and White Like Snow to Weiss because she's white, and Blake to Mirror Mirror because of her semblance being kind of like a mirror or a shadow kind of thing. But actually, I think it's another way around. Like, I don't know if the song harkens to every character specifically, but I think Weiss is being more associated with that mirror line, which is mirrors will shatter, crushed by the weight of the world. So, and I'm not quite sure how Mirror even relates to Weiss specifically, but we've already talked about how Weiss is trying to make herself into Winter, whether she knows it consciously or subconsciously. And so that could be a kind of thing where she looks into Winter, she kind of sees a mirror, an ideal mirror of herself. Mirrors will shatter. That doesn't bode well for what happens to Winter. Just saying. That's not confirmed. I don't know what happens going forward here. That's my suspicion overall. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Small little moments here are Yatsuhashi. If you don't know this, there's a theory that Yatsuhashi might be the White Fang lieutenant from the end of Volume 2. This is kind of confirmed by the fact that the tattoo that would normally be on the guy's arm that we saw on the White Fang's leader arm is being covered up by his big bracer. I think that's called like a bracer that's on his shoulder and his whole arm, and his blade very much resembles that, and you can kind of see a tiny hint of a tattoo being hidden under there. This episode doesn't really confirm it. It was just the first time I was able to work that into the mix. So tell me what you guys think of that one down below, because there really isn't a whole lot of evidence there, and it really doesn't make sense that he would be a White Fang leader when it's already been showed he's so protective over Velvet as a person, and it's implied that they're partners in Team Coffee. So maybe it's an evil twin. Who knows? Maybe he's had a change of heart and he used to be part of the White Fang. We'll see going forward. That's complete speculation on my part, by the way. Don't take that one as fact. Oh, one other little part is that I think Yang recognizes the person from the train that helped her on Volume 2, which we now know is her mother. But she doesn't know that specifically. To her, it was kind of like a weird feverish dream she had while she was like passed out and stuff from getting the crap beaten out of her. But you can definitely see that when Crow shows her a picture of the team that they were on, which includes RWBY's mom and her mom and their dad, and RWBY and Yang's dad, and Crow himself, you can see that there's a recognition in her eyes. She doesn't comment anything on it now, but I think that might be something going forward in one of the next episodes. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that isn't just like a red herring or something like that, because that was clearly a look of recognition, at least that I saw. And lastly, the message that I was talking about. RWBY is definitely building up to an interesting message. Specifically, when Crow is talking to RWBY and Yang about victory in this world, and peace and prosperity, and how it's kind of a lie. Like, they thought that they won at the end of Volume 2. He has a little, Crow has a little bit of suspicions on whether or not that's true or not. And he comments that other leaders like Ironwood are having similar feelings to that. But based on that, and also based on what we know about the Grimm, RWBY is actually kind of building up to like this really interesting dynamic of what peace actually does to a culture, and whether that's good or bad. So as we've established before, Grimm are attracted to negative thoughts and feelings. So if people are fearful overall, that will attract Grimm to Vale, or to any other pocket of humanity where they are. So that's kind of an issue. That's why peace is almost necessary to prevent negative emotions from infecting people's lives and prevents the Grimm from attacking. The problem with that, however, is that peace, as it's shown in the series so far, brings about complacency. Like, there's this big emphasis in Volume 2 in particular, and a little bit now so in Volume 3 as well, that RWBY says specifically, what do you need to save the world from? We're in a time of peace. Even among the people who have been helping to like save Vale with Team RWBY, who's been helping to save Vale, they still have this perception of, yeah, we're just kind of doing this because it's our job and we want to do this and we want to help people. But there's not like the sense of big overarching danger that's going to come down on the kingdom, which, if the opening has anything to say about it, clearly should be coming this volume towards the end and the finale. So, but I just thought that was really interesting, this dynamic of you need peace in order to maintain safety, but that peace brings about complacency. Because it's kind of interesting that the world of Remnant is as dangerous as it is. It's been emphasized, the world is dangerous, it is hostile, there are literally Grimm everywhere, and the 4 kingdoms are literally just 4 little isolated outcroppings that humanity managed to keep the Grimm back. And it's not by any means completely secure. It's why they have huntsmen, it's why they have the military to constantly try and keep battling them to keep them back. Yet most of the people of Vale don't seem to be able to defend themselves even on a minor level. They were all scurrying and running for the hills at the end of Volume 2. Not many of them seem to know how to fight. And that kind of reflects, you know, that world. And in many ways it also reflects our world in our lives today. How some of us probably don't know how to defend ourselves if anything goes wrong. But we have to have the perception of peace. Otherwise, things will get worse. We get war wariness and stuff. I don't know if RWBY has necessarily brought this into a cohesive thought yet. At least not one that I have been able to identify and really kind of tie it all together in a bow. I'll keep you guys updated on how I feel about that, because at the very least, it's very interesting to see RWBY definitely starting to push for a specific message that they want to get across. It's something that I've wanted them to do since the beginning. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are the good, the bad, and the story. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me what you think of my hat. Maybe give me a like for this hat, or maybe don't. If you don't like the hat, don't tell me. Keep me ignorant. Okay, bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It means a whole lot. I'm trying to keep these ones shorter to around like 10 or so minutes instead of like the 20-minute long ones, to let me know what you think of that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like always, follow us on all of our linkies: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our weekly Vine, stuff like that. And if you want to see more, I cover the first episode of Rocket Jump the Show here in a very similar format. Let me know what you think of that. It's a very funny new show. It's actually one of my favorite new shows of this season. Let me know what you think. Also down here, another short film. I know this is going to be, I have more short films coming. There will be more other than this. But again, this is a music video I made back in my senior year of high school called Nevermore. It's got lots of fire, rock and roll kind of stuff. Let me know what you think on there. So, till next time, peace out. That's not peace. This is peace. Peace.